if you've been a long time follower of my channel, then you know it's no secret that I'm a big Masters of the Universe fan. Um, and of course, I've been jaded by the Netflix adaptation, the first series, Revelation, which was pure shit, garbage even. Although I guess that's the same thing. But and then the second series, Revolutions, which was slightly better, not as offensive as the Revelation series, but the damage had already been done, so I stopped caring. And as a result, I didn't do a review of Revelation because I just didn't care. Like I gave it a chance. It wasn't terrible, but the damage had already been done, so there was no need for me to even talk about Revolution because at that point the fan base didn't even care. There was no desire to talk about the show or to even foster conversation about Netflix continuing the series because it was just damaged. The damage that was done in Revelation was so bad, and they still follow up with some of the mistakes from Revelation into Revolution. Not the more offensive ones, but the ones they did follow, like with Andra, for example, among other things. It was just enough for me to just say the show is DOA. And I think Netflix realized that. So any conversation about a third season is definitely not going to happen. And I just don't care. I stopped caring about Masters of the Universe, any newer adaptations, I mean. So much so that I totally forgot that Sony is pushing forward with a live action adaptation. I totally forgot that they had casted He-Man. Don't know who the name of the actor who they casted, but some thin looking guy. I guess they're going for that Prince Adam look, but it totally just like, okay, yeah, well, they just don't care anymore. They really don't care. So I stopped caring. They're not looking to do anything faithful or stick close to the material. And I'm like, well, which material are they even looking at this point? They're not going to the mini comics. They're not doing the Filmation series. They're not looking at the 2002 reboot series. So I don't even know what they're looking at to do their new movie. So if they don't care, then I don't care. And I'm just not even going to think about it. But word came today that they casted Teela, Camila Mendes, who I guess she was in Riverdale. I guess she was in that Archie CW TV show. And fairly attractive lady. You know, if you go to her Instagram, you could see that she has no problems showing some skin. So she's definitely a model and attractive lady. Some chatter going on about her being a Latina, playing the role of Teela. And I'm like, well, at least it's not a black girl this time because Teela is a redhead. And you know that Hollywood has this thing about replacing redheaded characters with black women for some reason. And not just black women, but like bush-looking black women, like masculine-looking black women. At least this time they cast someone that looks feminine and is kind of attractive. Well, not kind of. She's very attractive. Now, I can't help but wonder why not go for someone like a WWE or an AEW female wrestler that can be attractive and still look the part of a warrior, because Camila doesn't look like a warrior. Now, you know they're going to train her, though. Like I'm almost positive they're going to have someone train with her, work her out, work her body out. So she'll get to the point where she'll look the part. But I don't see why they couldn't have just gone with someone like I don't even know who the current attractive female wrestlers in either AEW or WWE are, because I don't watch those promotions like I used to. But they could have gone that route and it would have been like extra promotion for those organizations. But for whatever reason, they went with Camila Mendes, and I'm certain they'll train her. But it makes you wonder, because attractiveness is not a virtue in Hollywood today, especially when it comes to female characters or strong female characters, because they rather get someone that is going to deflect from the quote-unquote male gaze, someone that is not attractive, not feminine. They want the girl boss, need no man trope to satisfy their DEI and ESG masters. So yeah, I will admit I was kind of surprised with this casting, just based on the fact that Camila Mendes is a pretty attractive lady. So I'm wondering what they're going with this. Now, would I like to see a comic accurate or a cartoon accurate Teela with the one-piece swimsuit and the boots and the sword and shield? Of course I would. The heterosexual in me would love to see that, because He-Man is a male-oriented franchise. You have male characters that are warriors with fantastical powers. So it makes sense that you have the female characters skilled in their own abilities, but also very attractive looking. Because cartoons, comics, these mediums, they're supposed to portray human beings in a very aspirational form. When you look at men who are built like a He-Man or a Superman, the young boy in you looks at that and wants to aspire to be like that, strong, physically healthy, body conscious, and wanting to help people. And then when you see females in those same stories, you look at those and you're like, yeah, I like that female body. I like the form. I'm attracted to that. And the writers of these stories, they knew that. But let's not pretend they didn't know that. Of course they knew that. They understood the importance of a significant female character. But when it comes to the visual medium, they also knew that the female character had to be attractive. First of all, as an artist, it's fun to draw female characters who are attractive. The female form is a beautiful thing to draw, and it's a beautiful thing to be inspired by. So this move to get away from femininity, and the beautiful female form is laughable. It's almost like Hollywood. When they do the DEI, ESG thing, and they're talking about inclusivity and diversity, what they really mean is anything that isn't attractive. If it's not attractive, it fits. If it is attractive, if it's something that stimulates health or attractiveness, then we don't want that. This is why I'm shocked that Gal Gadot was allowed to play Wonder Woman the way she was. Gal Gadot is a great example, by the way, of an actress who's a model and still played the part of a warrior pretty well. So maybe that's what they're going with Camila. Maybe they're going that route, the way they did with Gal Gadot. But I'm not holding my breath because, again, I didn't even think about this movie. I totally was not aware that they were still making this. This is Sony that's working on this property, and they're working with a third company called Escape Artists. I never heard of them before. Escape Artists in conjunction with Mattel. Probably just a way to hold on to the license. Although I think Mattel's losing the license. I'm not sure. I heard somewhere that they're losing the license after this year or something like that. Or, well, not this year because this movie's scheduled to come out in 2026. Unless they're making this movie because they want to hold on to the license. They're still selling Masters of the Universe figures in Toy Store. They're still selling it in Walmart. You can still go and find Hordak or Trapjaw or Leech, or they just recently put out Thunder Punch He-Man. So the figures are still selling fairly well, especially the ones that are toyetic. And that leads to another point is one of the things that I think many of us appreciate about a character like Teela is that visually she is toyetic. The attractive female, good body proportions, one-piece swimsuit, boots, sword, shield. Like, that is a very toyetic figure. And if Mattel is still involved in this, I don't see why they wouldn't push for a visually toyetic film. And for it to be visual toyetic, you're going to want the female characters to be attractive and visually stimulating. And it sounds a little base to say, but that's the honest truth. If your female characters are not visually dynamic or visually stimulating, then they're just not going to be appealing. And the viewer, the reader, whatever the case is just not going to care. They're just not going to give a shit. They're not going to give a damn. And they'll just move on elsewhere. Now, does that mean that I want their portrayal of Teela to be like gratuitously sexy? Well, no. I mean, again, I pointed to Gal Gadot, but also look at Lucy Lawless as Xena. She was a very attractive, very sexy character without being gratuitous, and she was still pretty strong, and her warrior attributes were still very evident in the show. And that's why the show was a big hit when it was in its first run. So it is definitely possible to do female warriors who are very sexy, attractive, feminine, but still pretty strong and can hold their own during battle. Now, do I think they'll do that with Camila Mendes as Teela? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just intrigued by the casting because she is pretty attractive and totally the opposite of her portrayal, Teela's portrayal, in the Netflix series. Because in the Netflix series, she was pretty masculine looking. The first season, anyway. In Revelation, she was very masculine looking. Almost boyish, even. Um, but yeah, they went with somebody here pretty feminine. So I don't know. I don't know what I think. I don't know what this means. I'm not holding my breath because I expect them. Here's the thing: I expect them to botch this thing badly. I expect them to make a shit show, and then wonder, hey, where all the people go? I thought this was a very popular IP, and then you can have all the usual YouTubers just talk about how bad it is because if all the same DEI points and the same ESG points, the message, yada yada. Do I think it'll have the message? You would say no because it's a fictional world where earthly politics or social activism wouldn't exist. But then you remember who's making it, and you're like, oh well, of course they'll put it in there because they have to. It's part of their DEI ESG calling. They have to do that because that's how they get their funding. And then for all I know, it could blow my socks off. It could be like absolutely the best adaptation of He-Man since the original, not the original, since the 2002 series. It could very well be in that caliber of just something absolutely mind-blowing. You would think so. You would absolutely think so. And the He-Man property is a property that is, it has so much limitless opportunities in terms of stories and characters that you can center on and a world building. Star Wars is DED. That property's done for. Disney has killed it. And you can forget about any anticipation or hope for their upcoming Rey Palpatine, aka Skywalker series. That series, the movie that's coming out. I think it's coming out. I don't know if with the recent news of Daisy Ridley being diagnosed with Graves. Okay, it's Graves' disease. It's the autoimmune disease. That's what it is. Apparently, it affects her thyroid. So, and I can see that definitely affecting future roles. But Daisy Ridley is one of those people that, yeah, she played a very shit character, but as a person, professionally, she didn't really get into it with the fans or anything. So she seemed like a very genuinely nice person. So I wish her well, and I hope that her battle with the Graves' disease is something that's very edifying for her as a person and for people around her. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But that doesn't take away from the fact that she played a character that was the face of the character that signaled the death of the franchise Star Wars, because it was a shit character and the 3 Disney movies were shit. That whole trilogy was shit. So, and what was I making? What was the point I was making? Oh yeah, the point I was making was that Star Wars is DED. So Masters of the Universe could potentially, in the right hands, it could be the next franchise that could carry Hollywood, the entertainment industry, for the next 10 or so years. But as we've seen with Netflix, they don't know what they're doing. They have zero clue what they're doing. And there's just so much potential for this franchise to be the next thing. As the MCU is also dying because their last few films, outside of Deadpool and Wolverine, which was a good movie, their last few films have been shit. And the demand for it has gone down because people checked out after Endgame. Endgame for a lot of people was the real end of the MCU. So and there's no going back to that. So you would think that Sony could take Masters of the Universe into a whole other dimension of entertainment, merch. There's so much possibilities they could go with this. There's so many limitless stories and characters they could use and just create universes with just on top of He-Man. But they don't have the vision. I don't expect them to have the vision. So my expectations are very low. And if the movie has any amount of like visual appeal or any interest in me, I'll probably sail the high seas to watch it. If not, maybe I'll go pay to see it. If it has anything worthwhile that could be redeemably good. I mean, Camila Mendes is an attractive lady, and her playing Teela might be something positive, but that's not enough for me to go pay to see the movie. You gotta wow me with the story and how you use the characters, and ultimately if it's respectful to the He-Man lore. But we'll see what happens. What do you guys think? You let me know what you think in the comments. Leave your comments below, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great rest of your day and take care.